YouTube is arguably the largest entertainment medium in the world, and to be honest, it's not too surprising. Why would you need to pay your telly license when you can watch Jimmy Fallon highlights with the click of a button? Why would you need to spend 12 plus hours watching a TV show when you can watch a 7-hour video essay about it? Why would you need to have friends to watch a movie when there's a streamer readily available to stream it to you, sometimes even being considerate enough to leave the room? YouTube also makes itself accessible to numerous aspiring creators, and one of the places where these individuals congregate is the cesspit known as the small commentary community. The cesspit comprises painful mediocrity and some of the most disgustingly deranged people you will ever meet. The small commentary community, however, is no stranger to controversy. As a creator, you eventually have to choose to rise above it in order to thrive, but today's subject tries to sink further into degeneracy than anybody before them. I don't necessarily expect you to be familiar with Pieman. Pieman is a small commentator with less than 7,000 subscribers, or shall I say was. In what may be the worst Google document in recent history, Pieman tried exposing a fairly disgusting person, which, while a noble cause, their intent was accidentally overshadowed by the degenerate skeletons residing in their own closet. Lucy, or Satanic Antifa, was a friend of Pieman. Lucy, or Satanic Antifa, was also an admitted rape fetishist and pee enjoyer. Lucy is a repulsive person. Pieman made a Google Doc with the intent of exposing Lucy, however, in the process, admitted to engaging in Lucy's depravity. This was, according to Pieman, all in order to warn the world about him, although Pieman alludes to enjoying these conversations a lot more than they would like to admit. Pieman is also a repulsive person. However, this revelation was no surprise to anyone following them with a slightly critical lens, and realistically could have been seen from a mile away.
You cannot have a public platform when you've admitted to this stuff. And this stuff is going to haunt you now, forever online. Like, you've said that, that's come out, people are always going to know that, people are going to know, that's what you're going to be known for.
Hi all future employers and potential employers. I'm a racist, sexist, homophobe and all-round bigot.
You need to go off, you need to log off, you need to like leave online settings, because you cannot have a public platform when you've admitted to this stuff. And this stuff is going to haunt you.
Pieman was, and in some aspects still is, a complete nobody. At the time of their first controversy at the end of 2020, they only had one video available on their channel, a 2-hour video discussing the rise and fall of commentator LT Corbis, a creator who was constantly promoted by some of their favourite YouTubers before they stopped due to some not very good decisions on her part, the description stating everything that goes up must come down. The video did quite well for Pieman, currently sitting on almost 30,000 views and contains some fairly notable names from the commentary community. People like Aiden Projects, Colossal's Crazy, and even Leafy is Here featured on the video according to Pieman's credits. Pieman decided to start interacting with the small commentary community on Twitter and managed to make a few friends. However, one of their friends would stand out to Pieman, a girl who went by the name I'mAlexStan69. Pieman and I'mAlexStan started sexting through Twitter DMs, with Pieman believing her to be 13 years old. Only 2-year difference? Should be fine. However, in reality, as Pieman would soon find out, the girl was only 12 years old. Bear in mind, Pieman was 15 at the time. I'm not going to try and insinuate that Pieman is or was a paedophile. However, Pieman did admit to being more turned on by her being younger than they anticipated. Regardless, I think sexing a 13-year-old, let alone a 12-year-old at 15, is kind of creepy. I mean, that's someone who more than likely hasn't even hit puberty yet. At some point, these DMs were leaked by a friend of the girl's, something Pieman didn't particularly want. This led to people calling Pieman out, with one of the most vocal detractors being Janswan. John and some others started calling out Pieman, leading to a Twitter back and forth, leading to Pieman firing up a stream on their live podcast channel Drama Time along with 2 fellow small commentators. This stream allowed callers to join the voice chat in order to give their scathing criticisms to Pieman, profile picture to profile picture. Half an hour into the stream, John decided to call in to first clear the record and lay out what happened.
When you found out the person was 3 years younger than you, 3.5 years younger than you, you felt more turned on. That is what you said.
That is what I said. I don't know why I said that. I'm not attracted to 12-year-olds. I don't know why I said that.
Why would you say it then?
I don't know.
Why would you say that? Out of everything you could have said, why did you say that?
That was, it was a big fuck up. It was something which is really bad. And I'm very stupid. I'm very an idiot, and I shouldn't have done that. And I'm really, really stupid. But I'm not, I'm not attracted to 12-year-olds.
It's fine to say that, mate, but you said it in DMs, right? And you even cemented it because, it's earlier on when Cobra was in the call, you thought that wasn't going to get leaked. You thought that was going to say private. No. Why would you say that in private, not thinking it was going to get leaked if you didn't mean it?
This goes on for a little while, with Pieman continuing to backtrack and make excuses until John gives some genuine advice to Pieman on what to do.
This is not good. This is something I believe you need to get help with in some way. I don't know whichever avenue you want to take with that, but I think you need to get help because these are the sort of feelings, if you're trying to deny them now, well, earlier, you said in her DMs that these were feelings that you had. I know you're trying to deny them, but I mean, if you legitimately feel this way, and I'm not going to ask you to respond or say if you do or not, right? But if you legitimately feel this way, you need some help, right? You need to log off. You need to leave online settings, because you cannot have a public platform when you've admitted to this stuff. And this stuff is going to haunt you now, forever online. Like you've said that's come out. People are always going to know that. The people are going to know. That's what you're going to be known for. But I don't know if you can save yourself here, then. This is something that's going to be with you for ages. And you need to get it fucking sorted out. In fact, you need to end the stream. You shouldn't even be live streaming right now because nothing that you're saying is even helping you and it's actually making it worse.
Instead of ending the stream like John said, however, Pieman continued for nearly another hour and a half, incriminating himself more and more. Everyone on the stream from this point, even the co-hosts, basically corroborated John's point that Pieman needs to take a break from the internet because it's clearly not good for them.
I'm never getting out of this community. I'm never leaving the internet.
Exactly. That's what I mean. That's the problem, mate. Because that's why you are like you are right now.
It seemed as if everyone was taking John's side. That Pieman was a terminally online loser who needed to log off, touch grass, and refrain from e-dating. Obviously, John faced a lot of backlash from this. Wait, what? No, hang on a second, that can't be right, can it? After ending the stream, again, an hour and a half later, Pieman, instead of logging off, faced support from the commentary community, with John Swan being branded as an awful person who called a 15-year-old a paedophile. This ignores the fact John said multiple times he didn't think Pieman was a paedophile, just incredibly fucking strange. But no, they're both minors, guys, don't worry, Pieman is completely normal and should be welcomed. We'll never show signs of these tendencies again, guys, don't worry. People like Willie Macshow, Augie RC, and Tommy C took the opportunity to platform and promote Pieman instead of crucifying them. This caused their audiences to do the same, granting Pieman a level of respect among the RC community. In a frankly insane turn of events, somehow Pieman managed to come out on top on this drama despite being completely in the wrong. A theme you're unfortunately going to start seeing cropping up. Unfortunately, this praise started getting to their head, and before we know it, Pieman had an ego. A very, very undeserved ego. Pieman wasn't a particularly good creator. I'm not trying to be a dick when I say this, but Pieman's videos were kind of shit. Pieman was also incredibly up their own arse during parts of the promotion they were receiving. This led to Pieman being completely comfortable in their mediocrity, unwilling to even consider improving. So without the need to improve their video making abilities or the desire to log off, Pieman decided to spend their time in some fairly unhinged corners of the internet, a favourite website being everyone's favourite gossip forum. Pieman has some interesting takes. As anyone who's seen my previous videos will know, I don't like discussing politics on the channel. However, I think Pieman believing in things like white culture being supreme and believing that kneeling on someone's neck until they die of suffocation is a common police tactic are fairly extreme and ultimately backwards views. This, to be fair, could be explained through Pieman's appreciation for notorious white supremacist Nick Fuentes, going as far as to at one point attempting to interview him, which eventually fell through. Pieman would also spend this time engaging in healthy debate over on kiwi farms. Back to Pieman's ego, it was very clear during their disagreement with Dr. Skipper over Pieman's commentary iceberg. If you're unaware, an iceberg is a tier list of the most common trivia to the least known. Pieman decided to make an iceberg based off the commentary community, going over the numerous controversies, mysteries, and secrets that plague it. Pieman posted this to an iceberg subreddit. Skipper happened to be looking through the subreddit a little while later, looking for an iceberg to cover in a video. Thinking an iceberg about the commentary community could make a good video, Skipper took it and announced it, even intending to shout Pieman out at the beginning. Pieman, who planned on making a video himself, wasn't too happy and expressed expressed his discontent publicly as well as in Skipper's DMs. I don't appreciate you stealing my idea of a commentary iceberg, which I announced I was making a video on weeks ago. You know that as you have a bigger channel, a video on the same topic will overshadow mine. I've been spending like 4 hours a day working on this for the last week and a half, so I would appreciate it if you pushed back the video a bit so it released after mine, if that's okay with you.
I didn't know you were making one, to be honest. I found it through the Iceberg Charts subreddit with 400 upvotes and had the full intention of shouting out the original Reddit post. My bad.
I made that one low. Look at the username. Maybe you didn't see the tweet before, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't. Just the Reddit post. My bad.
Sorry.
Nah, you're justified. I had no intention of trying to wrong you, by the way, and I understand now.
And sorry that I sort of assumed you did it on purpose. Sometimes, admittedly, I'm not the most optimistic person.
From your perspective, it makes sense. Yeah, I'm sorry as well.
Despite clearing up with Pieman and DMs, Pieman continued to tweet about Skipper, calling him a shitty person and a thief. This got to the point where Skipper had to make a tweet addressing it.
I'm making this response to justify myself. I originally found Pieman's Reddit post for the iceberg that had over 400 upvotes on Reddit and wanted to make it a community collaboration. I usually don't like leaking private DMs, but since I'm kind of pushed back against a wall, I need to share these to defend myself. I had no knowledge of him making the video and only thought he made an iceberg for others to use since it was publicly posted on Reddit. And I made that clear and even apologized for the mix-up. I never agreed to delay the video. The "my bad" was referring to us covering the same topic and his idea that I was deliberately snaking at him. End of the day, he shared the post publicly and never stated his intentions of keeping it exclusive in the original Reddit post. It seems his fear is more of me overshadowing his iceberg. Everything in the video is original research, editing, scripting, and recording. No content was stolen, and the only thing that is originally Pieman's is his iceberg chart, which has been credited. No hate to Pieman, of course. This is just an explanation. Brun.
This, in my opinion, goes to show just how stubborn Pieman is, and how they'll never admit they're at fault, which, bear in mind, is fairly often. Due to a combination of edginess to actual political extremism, depending on how you view it, and an overinflated ego, Pieman decided to put all their eggs in one basket in the worst way possible.
Hi, all future employers and potential employers. I'm a racist, sexist, homophobe, and all-round bigot. Don't hire me, because I'll be a liability for your business and brand.
Yes, that symbol on their chest is exactly what you think it is. The video is, above all else, incredibly sad. As I've already explained, Pieman was not good at what they did, and even if they didn't eventually leave the internet, would have more than likely gone nowhere, with this video practically cementing their future. However, shockingly, Pieman would get little backlash from this, but it wouldn't take long for them to enter their second big controversy. Logan Paul and the Forest is a phrase that more than likely rings a bell for you. Man film dead body, man get backlash, man film apology video. This is very widely accepted as a thing that actually did happen, and you'd have to be a fucking insane conspiracy theorist to believe otherwise.
But what if I told you that's not what happened? In fact, you're believing exactly what Logan wants you to think. The rabbit hole goes deep with this, one of the most famous controversies in YouTube history, an event which changed the landscape of the internet forever, is a complete hoax, a fraud, a fake, a lie.
This is a completely serious video. A completely serious video wherein Pieman attempts to prove the victim Logan filmed was actually a paid actor, and Logan just decided not to tell anyone. There are numerous issues with this video, but the main one is the evidence or lack thereof. The premise of the video is that Logan decided to pull a cheeky little prank, not on his friends, but the much wider YouTube audience. Pieman talks about how numerous YouTubers were called out for faking their pranks, a revelation which was no shock to anybody. People like FuziTube and even Logan's brother Jake Paul all confessed the truth. Pieman uses that initially to try and spread the narrative Logan was lying all along. Of course, even Pieman realizes that that isn't much to go off, so they bring up the time Logan successfully convinced everyone he was a flat earther, as well as the time he pretended to get assassinated in front of hundreds of child fans. And this is a common theme throughout the video, taking things that kinda sorta relate and acting as if they prove anything. Take the next point for example.
The forest is the most popular site for suicides in Japan. In 2003, a record number of 105 bodies were found in the forest. But not even taking into consideration that there have been reportedly less suicides in the forest in recent years, that still means that on the average day, there's a 1 in 3.5 chance that someone has committed suicide in the forest. Do you really think we visited the suicide forest as nearly as appealing as the actual video? No. Logan couldn't have counted on finding a body, so he faked one.
The forest is big, not many people take their lives in the forest anymore. It would have been difficult for Logan to find a body, which is why he lied. I personally have no clue how long Logan and his crew were searching the forest for. It could have been 5 minutes, it could have been 5 hours. Regardless, I don't think it would realistically be too difficult to find a body in a forest notorious for suicide. Even if, on average, less people visit in order to save their lives, that's ignoring the fact people still do. Pieman then gets into the evidence. According to them, they saw the body move, the ambulances that Logan called could have just been there on standby, Logan's friends are reacting strangely, and finally, Pieman's smoking gun. According to them, Logan was never even in the forest to begin with. Firstly, a dead body hanging from a tree will more than likely move slightly. Pieman says it wasn't a windy day, but I mean, even the smallest bit of wind would be enough to move the body. Pieman then claims there are some inconsistencies with the body's positioning. Inconsistencies which, conveniently, only Pieman has seemed to notice. Even Kavos, someone who claims to at least in part believe this theory, and someone who has heavily analysed the video, admitted he couldn't see any of the inconsistencies Pieman's talking about.
Now, I'm gonna rewatch that specific part of the video and keep all of these in mind, because I promise you, back in 2019, I scrutinized this video for ages when I was doing my research to try and find anything I could. A little inconsistency, something that's changed within the person, anything. And I can't lie, I did not see any of this. Yeah, I can't lie. I'm watching this. I don't see what Pieman is seeing at all.
Hang on a second. Just before I was going to upload this video, I uncovered a huge piece of evidence which proves without a shadow of a doubt that Logan lied in the video and continues to lie to this day.
Lastly, Pieman's definitive proof, or as I like to refer to it, the literal weakest point in the video.
You see this place? This is the same place Logan was at. The same place Logan claimed to find a dead body 100 yards away. But this is not a forest. This is not the famed suicide forest. This is the Narasawa Ice Cave, a completely different place. So Logan clearly lied about visiting the suicide forest. He visited a different place. This means that the chances of finding someone in the forest is even less likely.
This is literally just not true by any metric. The Narasawa Ice Cave is not a completely different location. It is quite literally a part of the forest. Yeah, it's on the outskirts, but saying it's a completely different location is just a lie, and a very easily debunked one. The video up to date is a heavily edited version of the original, cutting about 4 minutes of context from the video. Bear in mind, this is because, while censored, Pieman regularly talks about death and one of the most notorious attempt locations in the world. It also contained a lot of footage from pretty much a blacklisted video, a video YouTube wants nothing to do with. Despite this, Pieman was still surprised when it originally got taken down. I mean, even this heavily censored version of the video was age restricted by YouTube and shows a suicide warning when you click on it. Aside from that though, everything seemed to be going smoothly for Pieman. I mean, they were getting a shit ton of publicity from the situation, and a bunch of people were promoting the video, and in turn, Pieman. Eventually, however, I have to assume these people actually watched the video and realized, hang on a second, this guy's just lying. This caused Kavos to make a video reacting to Pieman's video and arguing the legitimacy of the points, as you've already seen. This caused more people to realize Pieman was chatting shit, prompting Pieman to make a 3-minute response video, basically saying that the video was rushed, and they decided to not even attempt to fact check it. Whilst at first they refused to concede, a few months down the line they admitted that they in fact took an L on the Logan video. Despite that and the fact Pieman says in their response they don't want to spread misinformation, the video is still publicly available on their channel. At this point, for me and a few other people, Pieman was a pretty shit person who had no clue how to handle controversy. A person who, no matter how clearly in the wrong they are, refuses to accept fault until it doesn't really matter anymore. At this point, I had had my own run-ins with Pieman, and so did some of my friends. One of these run-ins proved to be quite interesting. I consider Pieman to be a massive fucking degenerate for many reasons. The 12-year-old stuff, the stuff I'll get into soon, and some of the things they admit to when they think nobody is watching.
So what? So you're literally like a fucking incel, Pieman?
Yeah,
You
mostly.
literally hate women.
Most of them, yeah.
So depressing.
Why? Why do you hate women?
What have women ever done to you? Is it because they won't like touch your fanny or whatever?
It's a long story.
It's a long
Go
story.
on, tell us
Go
the
on,
story.
go on.
Many different occasions.
Pieman is completely unironically an incel, and we can only sit and wonder why. Pieman's incel rage, however, was 100% a byproduct of the amount of time they were spending on the internet. Unwilling to heed John's advice back in 2020, why would they need to now? They had friends, they had views, and they had respect. But yet again, Pieman would spend their time on the internet in the worst ways possible. Instead of using it to positively contribute to online discussion, Pieman instead decided to become contrarian, arguing against the popular opinion for literally just no reason. The small commentary community has a paedophile problem. With a community full of either teenagers or grown adults who refuse to get jobs, there are bound to be some dodgy individuals, with one of the most standout stories being the case of Vex Says Stuff. Vex was an 18-year-old small commentator who, as it happens, was friends with Pieman. So I'm sure they couldn't have been happy when a small commentator released an exposed video on Vex, causing other victims to come out about her. To my knowledge, Vex had 3 victims, the youngest of which being 14 years old. Personally, I would consider a relationship between a 14-year-old and an 18-year-old rather disgusting, but as I would soon find out, is apparently a pretty hot take. Regardless, Vex was soon shunned from the community, considered by most as the newest small commentary groomer, a statement Pieman disagreed with. Without getting completely into the situation, one of the worst things Vex did was attempt to manipulate a 16-year-old into sending nudes. Something Pieman decided to just completely downplay.
Also, before we continue to the next segment of the document, I want to address the CP issue. First of all, Vex never requested suggested photos put from core. She just said she wouldn't mind. I'm gonna be honest, saying that you don't mind getting sent CP is pretty bad. It's obviously not like requesting it, but it's saying like you're fine with it, which isn't changing. That's like, this is a defense of Vex. This is a defense of Vex's actions right here, right?
In defense of Vex.
She just said she wouldn't mind if she received them.
Not only is a nude image of a 16-year-old legally considered, it's also fairly morally wrong, especially, you know, the manipulation part. Pieman and another small commentator decided to write a Google Doc attempting to vindicate Vex by bringing up Egyptian law.
Here, maybe currently as well as the Thomas lived in Egypt. In Egypt, the age of consent is 18, with the Romeo and Juliet law for 17-year-olds. However, this is not a crime for Vex. What? You literally just stated this was a crime.
The doc is unfortunately lost to time, however, luckily for me, there's a stream covering it and its many flaws. Oh look, it's me.
There's no need for defense of Vex or rebuttal, but this was. They both literally just defended Vex, and it's not a defense, but it clearly was. Like, everybody's like trying to argue in good faith, would like see this and say, yeah, this is a defense, right? Because like, tries to like justify or like say like it's legal and shit. But like, we don't want this in our community, do we? Do we really want people like talk to fucking children?
Eventually, Pieman would call into this stream and try and defend their document, which they did poorly because it was really bad.
I said it many times. I said it wasn't illegal.
But wait, there was a part in the Google Doc where like Vex was quite clearly like trying to solicit CP from a 16-year-old. That is illegal.
Yep.
What?
I'm gonna make one thing clear. Vex may not be a paedophile by definition, however, Vex is definitely a groomer. Pieman is defending someone who knowingly took advantage of people who are legally unable to consent. Even the 16-year-old she dated, which, while a little bit weird, would be pretty much fine, seeing as though 16 is the age of consent in most places, she just had to ruin that by saying she wouldn't mind the guy sending her nudes. Wonderful. However, despite being very clearly in the wrong, yet again, Pieman and their takes were defended, with a bunch of people defending 18-14 relationships. For a little while after this, Pieman would be quiet, making a couple of shit takes on Twitter every now and again, but nothing on the level of the 3 controversies I've already spoken about. And despite my disagreements with them in the past, I even managed to get on somewhat good terms with Pieman, something which would not last long whatsoever. Despite Pieman's channel size, they had a decent amount of respect from the commentary community. This respect would soon disintegrate upon the release of a Google Doc entitled The Truth About Satanic Antifa, a Google Doc which would show exactly who Pieman really is, a complete and utter degenerate. Intended to expose Satanic Antifa or Lucy, and in fairness it succeeded, the document would be more of a double-edged sword for Pieman, exposing themselves for engaging in similar behavior. As I explained in the beginning, Lucy is a deplorable individual Pieman struck up a friendship with. After finding out Lucy had a rape kink and tendencies, instead of cutting ties entirely and warning people, Pieman had continued to talk to Lucy under the guise of collecting evidence. However, their intentions were never entirely pure.
And you said you didn't initiate any of these discussions, right? Did you engage in them?
I never. Well, I don't know what you mean by engage.
I won't be reading out the full documents in the video. However, the originals will be linked in the description, as well as copies in case Pieman decides to take them down. Pieman and Lucy would regularly exchange nudes and sex with each other. Lucy would tell Pieman about his disgusting tendencies, and Pieman would play into them. One of the worst things Pieman admits to in the document is accidentally encouraging Lucy to attempt to rape a 14-year-old friend. Lucy was talking to Pieman in the same way he often did. This time, however, he was fantasizing about raping said 14-year-old. Pieman responded to this by basically saying, well, if you want to rape him so much, then just go over there and do it. According to Pieman, this was simply an offhand joke made due to feeling uncomfortable and not knowing what to do. However, joke or not, Pieman claims that after this comment, Lucy got really interested in the idea and allegedly planned to meet up with the 14-year-old. Pieman did attempt to rectify this, trying to warn the 14-year-old later, but the point is, they never would have had to if they never played into what Lucy was saying. Next, Pieman talks about how Lucy's boyfriend involuntarily age regresses, sometimes meaning his mind regresses to that of a child, and in the case of Lucy's boyfriend, resembling that of a toddler's as a coping mechanism. According to Pieman, Lucy would take advantage of his boyfriend when he regressed in order to fill out his fantasies. Pieman had nothing to do with this, but I do just really want to stress how disgusting Lucy is, and even so, the fact Pieman continued to talk to this guy after learning this stuff is fairly telling. Pieman wanted to see, quote, just how far Lucy was down the pedo pipeline. In order to do that, they sent him safe-for-work images of children from Google, decreasing in age each time until Lucy stopped them at a 6-year-old. Pieman, instead of exposing Lucy, instead decided to delete all the screenshots containing proof because Lucy had blackmail on them. But, I mean, Lucy had no way of knowing Pieman had these screenshots, or if he did, whether or not Pieman had deleted them. If Pieman genuinely wanted to expose Lucy at some point, which I would really like to think they did, that was an incredibly dumb decision. At some point after this, Lucy, who was still talking to Pieman regularly, allegedly asked Pieman if they wanted to see a video of a 10-year-old getting raped. Pieman decided this would finally be their chance to expose Lucy.
So that was near the start of the start of when I had suspicions of him being a pedo. He kept on trying to ask me, "Oh, do you want to see this?" CP, not CP, do you want to see these, videos, pictures of kids and stuff, and, oh, do you want to see this one of, a 10-year-old being raped by his dad? And, I didn't want to see it. I said no a couple of times, but then one time I thought, well, I need to go to the FBI with this and stuff.
Pieman asked for the video, then sent a report to the FBI, before asking Lucy to delete the video afterwards. Now, allow me to play devil's advocate for a second. As fucking moronic as an action it is, I can kind of see Pieman's logic, thinking they need proof Lucy owned this material in order to send a report. Personally, I wouldn't have even been speaking to this person for this long to begin with, but for the sake of hypothetical, let's say I was in Pieman's situation. To me, the fact Lucy was incessantly offering to send the video would be more than enough proof that they had it, and to my knowledge, that would be more than enough proof to send a report to the FBI. Surely, now at least, knowing for certain Lucy was attracted to children as young as 7, as well as having CP, Pieman would cut ties and release the Google Doc. Next, Pieman asked Lucy if they could get away with it, how young would he be willing to go? Lucy replied, saying a 12-year-old. Yes, Pieman continued to talk to Lucy in order to carry on gathering evidence, and also because Lucy had blackmail on them. I really hope I'm not the only person who can see the red flags in that. Presumably, the blackmail Pieman is referring to is what they've admitted to so far in the document, so unfortunately for Pieman, they not only had to eventually publicly admit this themselves, but would continue to implicate themselves and continue to engage in Lucy's behavior. Then Pieman would admit to arguably the worst thing in the document. Lucy, as it happens, was talking to some of Pieman's friends at the same time. As of Pieman, Lucy would sex them and eventually get them to send him nudes, and just like Pieman, I believe all of these people were minors.
In the Google Doc, you claim that you accepted multiple images of nudes of your friends from Lucy, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
How old were the people in the nudes?
They were all at least my age. My age and 1 year above, so 16 or 17.
I hope you know that that is a very big deal, because not only were people's photos being sent out without their consent, regardless of if these people were your age or not, they were still minors, right?
Yes.
So,
Regardless, when Lucy offered, Pieman had no problem with him sending some of these images before deleting them when they were finished, using that getting out as the main reason they didn't come out about Lucy earlier.
did it trouble you? Did it trouble you at all that he was sending you images of people naked without their knowledge?
It did, but I still
accepted these images.
Yes, because like I said, I'm really fucked up for that, and I apologize and think I'm going to apologize to each person personally, and I don't deserve forgiveness. Anyway, all I'm saying is there's no excuses for that. I know I'm 100% in the wrong with that.
Before this point, you could write Pieman off as just a fucking idiot, but this, in my eyes, puts Pieman beyond redemption. Even ignoring the fact that they were underage, Pieman still used these images without the person's consent. Even though it was incredibly stupid, I can see the logic behind Pieman's actions up to this point. I wouldn't have done them, but part of me can see why Pieman did. They didn't intend on using these images as evidence, but in order to satiate their own disgusting desires. In order for someone to attempt to redeem Pieman, they'd either have to convince people this isn't too big of a deal, or they'd have to willingly ignore this point. Both are equally as bad. After all this, Pieman tried to convince the 14-year-old to not even think about meeting up with Lucy if offered. Pieman then blames the 14-year-old, the clear victim, for sending these DMs to Lucy. This kid was clearly confused and had no clue how to trust, and Pieman saying if there's one thing you can't rely on for it's keeping his mouth shut comes off as kind of victim blamey, but whatever. The worst part is that I saw people try and defend Pieman off at this point alone, but if you recall, Pieman was the one who put the 14-year-old in that dangerous situation in the first place. I mean, good on Pieman for trying to clear up their own mess, but that doesn't make him a good person. It makes them someone who can feel guilt. Pieman then ends the document with some proof, including a screen recording of Lucy admitting to the 14-year-old thing, before saying Lucy has changed the story, making things he said make no sense. For example, why would Lucy be scared of the FBI investigating him if he never had CP? I personally believe Pieman over Lucy. While Pieman had undoubtedly gotten shit wrong in the past, this was a first-hand experience. As well, Pieman admitted to stuff that Lucy claimed to be false, stuff that incriminated the both of them. Lucy tries to claim in his response to it longer that he never had the video of a 10-year-old gang, a video Pieman agreed to have sent to them. As well, something to note is Lucy only admits things either Pieman had proof of or things that involve other people, like the 14-year-old thing. However, claims he never actually intended to rape him. Again, I don't believe anything Lucy's saying. He claims he's been signed up to therapy, and while I think prison is probably the more fitting option, therapy is definitely a step in the right direction. The commentary community went fucking insane over this, and rightfully so, calling Pieman out for each and every one of their shitty decisions. Aiden was one of these people, at one point getting into an almost 20-minute call with Pieman, which is what you've been hearing throughout this section, and I just want to thank Aiden for sending me the full call. Pieman wasn't too happy with some of Aiden's tweets about them, however, claiming he was taking things out of context. You see, Pieman went into full damage control mode after getting backlash for the Google Doc, so much backlash they would eventually deactivate. These attempts at defending himself really show how scummy Pieman can be, at one point trying to implicate 9 small commentators in a CP ring before admitting they just made that up completely. The next day, Pieman reactivated in order to tweet a brand new Google Doc, simply titled A Final Response. The document begins with Pieman claiming they were being slandered before clarifying some things people were apparently misrepresenting. I've already gone over everything, but again, it's linked in the description and I would suggest you give it a read in your own time. The sad thing is, apart from exposing Lucy earlier, admitting to being a complete degenerate scumbag was probably Pieman's best bet. It almost definitely would have come out eventually, and Pieman admitting it would have looked much worse. Or, again, they could have just exposed Lucy at like any other point. Everything seems to have come full circle, and finally, Pieman decided to take John's original advice and log off. over a year later, mind you. Maybe they would finally take this opportunity to spend some time in the real world, make some real life friends, and become a functioning person. Oh wait, hang on, what happened? Pieman posted on their community tab a couple hours ago. Wonderful. Yes, Pieman is not only still lurking online, but interacting with the commentary community. They clearly have not learned their lesson. Originally, I thought this was just a one-off, but after leaving the community for a few weeks, it seemed almost every day I'd hear about Pieman doing something. First, it was a community tab post, then it was editing their Wikitubia to be biased in their favor, then it was responding to a message in their own Discord server. I was originally just going to record a line or two referencing this until the infamous Mr. Go announced that he just interviewed Pieman. At this point, I'd finished the script, written the audio, and started editing, so having to delay the video slightly to wait for the interview to be released was frankly a bit annoying. The even more annoying part, however, was that Pieman was very clearly trying to make a comeback not even a month after they originally left, which in my opinion is really pathetic. If the name Mr. Go rings a bell for you, it's likely due to his review of the movie Cuties. Cuties is widely accepted as pedophobic, with some plot points including, but not limited to, girls no older than 11 dancing extremely sexually, acting extremely sexually, and even sending nudes to older men. Underage girls sending nudes. Now, where have I heard that before? Mr. Go really likes this movie and made a review expressing that enjoyment, claiming the movie attempts to make you sexually aroused by 11-year-olds before claiming it isn't bad at it.
Hi cuties. Guess what I just watched? It's a solid film. It's a good movie. This film does try to make you sexually aroused by 11-year-olds. And I'll say it's not bad at it. It's not a total failure in that regard, at least for me. Your mileage may vary. If you are concerned about people treating this as child pornography, there are probably thousands of people masturbating to this film as we speak. Yeah, as far as like sexy music videos go, it's not bad. I don't know if you've ever heard of the app TikTok. There's some pretty interesting stuff on there that I've checked out. I recommend you check it out. Girls of all ages are dancing like this. Dances have become more explicitly sexual, almost to the point where it starts to feel surreal when they're like wiping their hands on their crotches. I think from the back, if memory serves. I'll have to watch it again and again and again. Children are horny. Little girls are horny and they want to express that. They're pretty hot. You can say whatever you want about me. It's not my fault. I didn't make them do that. They did that. That's the whole point of the movie, is that you're supposed to be sitting there thinking, look at the blonde one. You're supposed to be sitting there holding these two thoughts in your head, and one that these are kids and the other that they're hot. We already sexualize children. When we tell a child that they're cute, we are telling them that they're attractive. And attractiveness is only one thing. It's sex. Attractiveness leads to sex. It's like the ultimate in cuteness. I was gonna say as long as you stop before porn or child porn, but I don't think I've never seen child porn, but I haven't. We're not gonna pretend the Cuties review didn't happen, because I like the Cuties review. I'm a fan of the Cuties review. I stand by the Cuties review. I stand by every single word I said, every little facial expression. Every time I licked my lips while I was talking about Cuties, I stand by it. And it's not a joke. This is not a joke. The Cuties review is not a joke.
This man is Pieman's biggest offender at the moment. It's widely accepted either Mr. Gal is a pedophile akin to Amos Yee, Mr. Gal is a very dedicated troll akin to Amos Yee, or Mr. Gal is a fucking brainlet akin to Amos Yee. Within 24 hours, the interview was released, with Pieman being extremely hard on himself, while Mr. Gal continuously victimized him.
I don't think you did anything wrong.
I disagree. I think
maybe it's mildly wrong, but so mildly that like it's the difference between like stealing a candy bar from a store and then or like the employee who works at the store being like, hey, I'm gonna throw this candy bar in with it, like you can have this for free. And you think my view that you're holding yourself to a kind of inhuman standard is wrong?
I definitely disagree with your stance.
I see you as a victim here.
Throughout the video, Mr. Gal constantly tries to lift Pieman back up. Pieman seems clearly remorseful in the interview, which I'd argue is a good thing, Mr. Girl argues otherwise. I'd also argue that wanting to see nudes of your friends is pretty odd, no matter how old you are, but Mr. Girl continuously stresses how much he'd love to see his classmates' nudes as a teenager, and how it's, according to him, a very common thing.
Yeah, I think if you have somebody who's going around to 16-year-olds saying like, hey, do you want to see pictures of your friends naked? Well, that person sounds pretty strange in this case, for sure. I don't think saying yes to that is out of the ordinary.
Whilst, yeah, that does happen, no, it is not common by any means. I mean, even if it was, however, just because something happens a lot doesn't mean it's a good thing or it should be normalized. Pieman is not the victim. The victim are Pieman's friends. Teenagers who I can only imagine felt absolutely degraded and like a friend betrayed their trust and privacy, which, yeah, that did happen. I think sending someone who's just a friend nudes is strange enough. Again, no matter how old you are, but it's much stranger when there's a third party involved. All I can see Mr. Girl and the numerous supporters in the comments doing is convincing Pieman to come back. While they claim to be leaving the internet, well, we know just about how well that went last time. Come to think about it, how would Mr. Girl have gotten in touch with Pieman and been able to interview them if they weren't still spending time on Discord? Mr. Girl and the comments make me feel nothing but nauseous. People claiming Pieman's the victim and that they would do the same. Manipulate is a very strong word, but to me, Mr. Girl constantly claiming Pieman as the victim feels a bit manipulative. He's very clearly trying to convince people this is normal behavior, and it's working. In short, Pieman should not be welcome back, and what they did isn't normal and shouldn't be normalized. Also, Mr. Girl had a fairly interesting Freudian slip near the beginning of the interview.
Yeah, so statutory just means that the age difference or power differential makes it, but
like
it's
forcibly.
You're like real. Okay.
Realistically, Pieman had no shot at YouTube. As I mentioned earlier, their videos were not good whatsoever, and I sincerely doubt they would have found an audience. The only reason most people know who they are is due to the promotion from the bigger YouTubers who would have never bothered if not for the 12-year-old stuff. This is all but proven by their video on Stampy's Friends, a video that has over 800,000 views, but only an estimate of around 2,000 people actually decided to subscribe. That's roughly 0.25% of people who actually stuck around. People who I assume would have been turned off regardless by Pieman's next video, based on my assumption that there's probably not too much of an overlap between people who want Minecraft nostalgia and people who know what the kill stream is, and all that's ignoring Pieman's apparent inability to make an engaging video. Pieman was incredibly uncreative. Even this admittedly unfunny bit is stolen from Pieman, who originally stole it from Employment. If Pieman ever wanted to make it into the mainstream, they continued to shoot themselves in the foot by being extremely edgy and controversial. The blackface video would not go down well with the mainstream YouTube audience in the age of cancel culture. They may have got the validation they so desperately sought after from terminally online 13-year-olds who scream based and red-pilled in replies, but in reality, that would be the extent. Even the creators who promoted Pieman, he called them out for this.
A funny observation that I noticed, and someone else had pointed this out first in a group chat, that Pieman video.
Right. Oh no. Oh no.
Oh no. You saw the
no.
yeah.
Wait, are you talking
Oh no, go, please continue. Please continue.
Oh no.
The one where the one he put out as a meme to ruin his future job prospects.
Oh, the one that he put out. You're talking about the one recently where
yeah,
he's
yeah,
like,
I'm talking about the one recently. Hey
yeah,
guys.
There's another one on his channel that's even worse than that one.
Oh, I gotta see that shit.
Yeah, it's so bad. The video I think ends with him calling Dream the N-word.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah,
oh
there's another one that's even worse.
Which one? So wait, hang on. Which one's the one you talking about?
Yeah, he said something like, "Attention all future employers. I am racist, homophobic, blah blah blah," and he's like wearing blackface and has a swastika shirt on.
What?
Pieman had what seemed to be hundreds of chances and squandered them all. They somehow managed to get out of every controversy with public opinion on their side before getting into another one a few months later. Eventually, their luck would have to run out. It only took 4 major controversies and countless god-awful choices. If there's one lesson I want you to take away from this video, it's that the internet isn't everything. I've managed to meet some insanely cool people from the internet I've become fairly close with, and I've had some insanely cool opportunities and experiences. However, it's incredibly important to have real life friends and real life experiences. Well, I'm lucky to have both. Pieman put all their eggs in the online basket to clearly nothing but their own detriment. I've wanted to talk about Pieman for a while, but I've never really felt the need to. This situation with Lucy seems to be the perfect ending to Pieman's story. An ending full of degeneracy, an ending full of loneliness, and an ending that manages to come full circle. I really want to thank everyone who helped out with this video and encourage everyone watching this to check them out, the link's in the description. And Pieman, if you're watching this, my advice to you, log off, go find God, and don't come back. Feel free to follow me on Twitter, feel free to subscribe, and with that being said, I'll see you next time.
Go. Bran. No. Go. No.